Unmuted.
So do apologise. As I said, it's Tim Wiggins here this morning. This is one of our several of our sales training webinars for Fridays that we are running. The aim is really to help our partners, help you guys out there in terms of selling Fortinet. We're running these as sales training sessions. We also have a marketing session that we ran last Friday. Next Friday coming, we're running a technical session, and we're going to continue to run these sessions over the next couple of months as well. So do let your teams know about the sessions that we're running. Our account managers are sending out the invites as well, so please do register for them. They're here for you guys to help you in terms of understanding a bit more around Fortinet and the different Fortinet products. So as I said, I'm Tim Wiggins. I'm one of the vendor managers here at Exclusive Networks responsible for Fortinet. We also have Mark Parr, Ed Smart, who you guys may have spoken to before. We also have Alex Wright-York, and also Sam Blackburn has now joined the team as well and just getting up to speed. Welcome to speak to any of us about anything that you're working on and how we can and look at how we can help you progress that business. So I'm going to run through the sales side of things this morning. So very quickly, just as an introduction to Fortinet, Fortinet have been around for a number of years, going back 2000, 2002, and the mission has always been to grow the security business and deliver the most innovative and high-performing network security. And as I go through the presentation this morning, hopefully you will get an idea of where that performance and that security development has come from as well. In terms of Fortinet as well, year on year, they've been growing at a rate of around 30 to 35%. They are, in fact, the third largest network security appliance vendor by revenue, and the number one in terms of shipments out there. So they have been progressing. And when you look at the number of new patents that they're developing year on year, that has also been growing, and that's been around a lot of their security, different security architectures, different methods of actually implementing security as well. Don't want to frighten you with all the products that they've got, but Fortinet have actually got some 26 products out there. What I'm going to be focusing on this morning is a couple of key areas. So I'm going to be focusing on running through around the FortiGate side and some of the add-on services such as FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer. Talk a little bit about their access points, but please don't discard the other solutions. They are all very relevant. We've got the FortiMail offering at the moment as well, the FortiMail product offering. We can do that as a virtualized environment, and we also have a FortiMail cloud offering that's just been released as well, where we can deliver anti-spam, antivirus, and checking that's cloud-based as well. We also have things like FortiWeb for people who are hosting websites and need some protection from the OWASP top 10. Things like web defacement, SQL injection, and we need to be PCI compliant. So there is a number of products out there in terms of that. As I said, I'm going to focus on the FortiGate, and there's some of those associated products this morning more than anything else. In terms of Fortinet, there is a significant turnover of products here in the UK, and we're just trying to keep you up to date with what's going on. In terms of the FortiGate product, for those of you who are not familiar with it in a lot of detail, what Fortinet have done is they've taken a number of technologies and integrated or consolidated that into a very cost-effective security offering. So effectively we've taken the web filtering, checking to see what sites people are accessing, where people are going on the internet, the antivirus side, so for detecting malware, anti-spam, for looking at spam checking and that on coming through your firewall, your IPS, so looking at intrusions, people trying to get access into your specific web pages or into your web links and your connections, preventing that, and also application control, controlling what applications people can run across the network. Taking all those technologies and integrating it into a single common platform. And some of the other interesting technologies that are in here, yeah, we do support all the VPN, different types of VPN connections, so be that site to site, be that IPsec, client to site, etc. We support all the different VPN connections, and we can also do some clever stuff on the FortiGate side with things like optimization, WAN load balancing, link load balancing, and acceleration as well. And if we take all that onto the FortiGate platform, some additional functionality that's in there as well, we can also do things like DLP. So outside of your traditional looking for national insurance numbers, credit card numbers, we can also do things like electronically watermarking files or file servers and detecting those files being tried to be sent outside the network and actually stopping those going outside the network, irrespective of whether someone takes the file, changes it, renames it, that type of thing as well. So there's some additional technologies that have been added in here over the years with Fortinet of doing the development. The other thing to note on a FortiGate is it also has a wireless controller on there, so we can actually integrate or add access points onto it and manage access points through a FortiGate unit as well. In terms of the actual product, Fortinet are rated by Gartner. They've been in the top right-hand quadrant for the UTM threat management. This is for the 8th year running. So they are up in that top right-hand quadrant for their offering, and that's in terms of its completeness and what they've got on the box, and in terms of the ability to deliver. And it's one of the key areas, I think, on the Fortinet side, and particularly what they've done with the FortiGate, is made it easy for partners and for people to implement the actual FortiGate units. It's also gone through NSS Labs. So NSS Labs have also done the tests on not just the FortiGates and the firewalling side, but also on things like the Fortinet sandboxing as well, and a couple of other of the products. What makes Fortinet unique? And I quite often get asked this, say, well, it's just another appliance. And I think that the key thing here is since Fortinet's inception, Fortinet have developed the hardware, they manufacture, they own the actual hardware platform, they don't OEM anything. They've got their own specific sets of ASICs in there, their own specific processors in there, one to do network processing, and the other side is for the content processing. It's doing things like checking the AV, all goes through the content processor, doing network checking and network traffic checking, SSL offload, that type of thing going through the network processing side. And those have been kept very much up to date. We've seen the network processor version 6s, content processor version 8s coming out, and they've just released 2 new sets of chips to increase the performance even further, because of the demands that are coming through in terms of what's coming through in the network traffic side of things. So very much geared around performance, the FortiGate products are. In terms of what makes Fortinet unique, so I mentioned briefly the performance, their own specific sets of ASICs in there. The other side is all those consolidated technologies in there, so be it the application control, the IPS, the web filtering, the malware detection. Fortinet owns all of those technologies, and because of that, they've also got a very simple licensing model. So what you will find is if you order a FortiGate unit and you get a UTM bundle, you simply turn on the features that you want and turn off the features you don't want. So it's very simple to do that, and that makes it very cost effective. And all the UTM features are all backed up, and sometimes I think we underestimate the FortiGuard Labs research team that's based around the world. So FortiGuard Labs is made up of some 260 odd and growing individuals. What they do is they actually utilize some of the tools that are out there as well. So you may have heard of sandboxing and the Forti Sandbox. That is not a new product as such. Fortinet have had that product since 2001, 2002. That's how they've actually understood what's going on in the world in terms of threats and the potential threats that are coming along. They've utilized that sandboxing and developed that sandboxing to detect those threats, and also look at it from a research perspective to how they combat those threats as well. So that's all fed in through the FortiGuard Labs group. So in terms of what actually consists of a FortiGate unit when we're looking at a FortiGate, yep, we have the actual platform that we have the FortiGate running on. As I said, it's got its own custom network ASICs content ASICs in there for processing of the content, high-speed processing of content. It does need to manage all that as well, so it does have a general purpose processor within that environment. Sitting on top of that, we have the FortiOS, the specific Fortinet operating system, sitting within an environment which is purpose-built. It's a hardened operating system to provide that security within the environment. Also within the FortiGate, I mentioned earlier on, it's got a wireless controller, so we can have access points and hang access points off a FortiGate and provide a full wireless capability as well. And some of the lower end units come with an integrated wireless access point effectively in the FortiGate. So anything like a 60D, a 90D can actually have an integrated wireless on the actual desktop units. And that is a full wireless. That's full wireless capabilities. So you can have multiple SSIDs, you can have guest access in there as well, and you can also manage that and control what people can actually access on the network through that. We also have a two-factor authentication controller, so we can also do two-factor authentication using a physical token we can use, or we can use an application on a mobile device to generate a one-time passcode to enable people to log in, be it onto a VPN or be it through applications on the FortiGate as well. The other interesting thing, specifically for people who are providing managed services that may be interested in, is we can actually carve up a FortiGate unit. So we can actually carve up the FortiGate unit into multiple instances, and for all intents purposes, a customer is actually using a dedicated FortiGate and a dedicated slice of a FortiGate for their own use. So that's something that's quite unique in terms of how they do that. So we've got customers who take a large high-end FortiGate unit, put it in their data center, virtualize individual instances of that, and give customers access to those individual instances. Sitting on top of that, we've got our traditional firewall capabilities. So things like blocking specific ports, only allowing traffic through on specific ports. We can do our VPN capabilities on there as well. We have our anti-spam facilities on there, antivirus or malware detection, looking at potential threats coming through the network, and we also have the ability to do web filtering, stopping people accessing or going to specific websites. And the web filtering side has also got the Google Safe Search within it as well, so we can also do some specific stuff for things like the educational market as well, where they want Google Safe Search within that environment. Bit of a misnomer, I think the next generation firewall, I think someone actually created that as a marketing ploy more than anything else. So some of these technologies have been developed over the years and have been around for a while now. So we've got the things of doing things like application control. What do I mean by that? So we could give you or give your marketing department access to Facebook through the web filtering side. We say, yeah, they can access Facebook, but they can't execute games within Facebook. So you can actually control what applications can be running within that environment. So you can give people access into specific websites or specific content, but stop them being able to execute specific applications. Intrusion prevention, it's more geared around signature-based as well. Again, it's looking for people to potentially trying to infiltrate or gain access into your network infrastructure. And that works very much hand in hand with the botnet IP reputation services as well. So there are good botnets out there, things like Google, Yahoo, all use botnets for detecting and searching for content that they can put into their search engines. But there are bad bots out there as well that look at what have you actually got running through that link. Is there potential to do an SQL injection? Is there certain ports that are open that are being used for other things? Can they access that content through the network? And then we can do some other things like traffic shaping. So we can turn around and say VoIP traffic or SIP traffic has a higher priority than certain other types of traffic. So things like email, things like normal web browsing. You want the performance. You want to be able to manage that, so we can actually control that access through there as well. So that gives us the capabilities of delivering that those services on there. Some other facilities, we talked about sandboxing briefly, so we can actually do sandboxing. So what sandboxing entails is we've obviously got the antivirus or the anti-malware detection. If we've got something that's coming through, we know what's good, we know what's bad. There's traffic that we're not sure about, so it could be an attachment in an email, it could be someone who's clicked on a specific website and is now trying to download certain traffic. What we can, or certain content, what we can do is send that off to the sandbox. And that can be a physical sandbox, although most people I think are going down the cloud route. And what that does is it puts it into a Windows environment. It takes that piece of traffic, puts it into a Windows or a Mac environment, and actually entices it to execute and does things like time acceleration on it as well, and determines what it does. So if it suddenly decides to try and change registry items, or tries to go off to a malware site afterwards, or download malware, then we know that that content is not good, and we can actually isolate that content and flag that appropriately. And that also links in with client reputation. So client reputation looks at individual clients or individual devices on the network, and if someone's, for example, walked into an office, plugged their laptop in, and suddenly it starts going out and trying to send something out to a malicious website, or tries to download certain content, based on certain settings, we can determine, or that client is potentially, his reputation is potentially being compromised. I may have plugged a USB stick in it in the office, and it's got a bit of malware on it, and it's now trying to download or link to a malware site, or link to a specific website to download content. The client reputation service can detect that and say, oh, we're going to isolate that client and log that client to the management team as well. So it allows us to control a little bit more of what's going on with client devices as well. And that's all backed up by the FortiGuard labs. So again, FortiGuard labs, it plays an important role in developing these technologies and what Fortinet deliver out there to the world as well. So a little bit more on FortiGuard labs. So FortiGuard labs, as I said, is a team, about 260 odd people around, and they are doing the threat research, looking at what's actually happening with all the devices out in the world. And if you look at a FortiGuard labs minute, week, and what the information they're collecting, and this is from the 2.4 million devices that are out there in the world that Fortinet own. And in addition to that, they also do work very closely with some of the other research organizations. They're picking up all this information and looking at the potential threats and development of those threats, and feeding that back into the products. So that's taken, it's then fed back in by FortiGuard labs back into all the individual products. And we've seen an overlap as well, where new products have come out. So the recent release of the FortiOS 5.4 has got some of the web application firewall technologies integrated into it to help protect against malware. So we've seen little things added into some of these into the products to develop and enhance the security features within them. And all that is fed back out to the product, so in the individual components as well, so the antivirus, for example, application control, and the intrusion prevention, that is a feedback into those individual products to make sure that we're keeping those up to date against current threats that are being seen in the real world. So FortiGate, I've talked a lot about FortiGate. On the actual FortiGate side, and the FortiGate probably accounts for a large number of sales out there, probably 85% of the sales. But as I said earlier on, we need to be aware of the other components within that. So we can do things like add on access points and provide fully integrated wireless capabilities on there. So for example, I've got customers out there, they've got a FortiGate, they needed the office building to have wireless within that. They put the access points on there. They also provide guest access in there. They also have remote offices where they've added in 1 or 2 access points into a remote office to provide the same wireless capabilities and the same security offerings within that. But they didn't want to put a full FortiGate in those offices because they were literally a small office someone may walk into once or twice a week as well. The other sides to this is we've also got the capabilities of adding on and doing FortiClient. So FortiClient allows us to extend the security services onto the endpoint. So with FortiClient, your customer can put antivirus, they can progress the web filtering as well, the intrusion prevention services onto a client. So it's a replacement as well of some of the existing AV products that are out there that your customers may be using. It can be a very cost-effective way of providing antivirus onto a client device. We also have the ability to do two-factor authentication, so your users could use Forti tokens, be it a physical token or be it a soft token, to then turn around and once they use it to authenticate into applications, into their actual client device and authenticate into different areas of the network and things like the VPN as well. Every FortiGate has in fact got a switch on the back end of it, and we can actually extend that switching as well. So we can add switches onto a FortiGate, and this is not just a routing switch, it's an intelligent switch, so we can implement the same policies onto that switch. So if we want to isolate certain ports on there, we want to isolate certain parts of the network, we want to do certain VLANing across them, we can do all of that through the Forti switch. It's a fully integrated switch managed through FortiGate as well, so it manages the switch ports and all the capabilities of that switch. On the top left-hand side here, a little bit more around some of the additional management features that are out there for the FortiGate. FortiManager allows us to manage multiple FortiGate units, and it's not just about managing the FortiGate unit itself, it's actually about implementing things like change management. So FortiManager allows us, for example, to and even in a multi-tenanted environment, to manage 50, 100 FortiGate units out there. And what we're also able to do is actually allocate it and do role-based administration too. So you could actually use FortiManager, implement it within your own environment to manage the FortiGate units on behalf of your customers. You could give your customer access into FortiManager so that they can actually implement changes. The difference being is they can actually put a change into the actual FortiManager. It would then come across to yourselves to approve that change, and only then would it actually be implemented. And part of the FortiManager routine is it also takes a quick backup of the current configuration, so that if there are any issues, it can also do the rollback, so you can roll back the FortiGate unit and get it back up and operating if someone's changed something they shouldn't have changed, or something that's not appropriate for what they've done, or just made a mistake in what they're doing as well. And as I said, that's on a multi-tenanted environment. So I've got I know of a number of partners out there that have FortiManager running where they're managing 200 or 300 odd different FortiGate units out there as well. FortiAnalyzer allows us to do advanced reporting. So here, this is where we can actually feed again in a multi-tenant environment or for an individual customer, feed into FortiAnalyzer, allows us to determine or create reports out of FortiAnalyzer and automate those reports. So you could put FortiAnalyzer in, turn around, configure it, and generate a weekly report that says this is how much data has gone through your network, this is the threats that came through, this is the websites that individuals went to and used on the FortiGate unit as well, and this is the potential and all any potential threats or potential issues that came up as well. And you could generate that, send that out weekly, monthly, on a regular basis to your customers for that. And that way they know it's not just a box of some blinking lights sitting in the corner. FortiCloud effectively allows us to do something similar to FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer combined, but it's cloud-based. It's really geared around smaller customers. So customers got 20, 30 users on there. You can actually manage the FortiGate through the FortiCloud. You can also produce some reports out of FortiCloud as well, but they are fixed reports, so you can't change a lot on the reports. So they give things like the top websites that are accessed, the top web users that went through your FortiGate unit, threats that were detected on the network and that were blocked, logins into the actual Fortinet or onto the FortiGate unit to change any configurations as well. But as I said, it is limited by how much you can actually put through it. Every FortiGate unit comes with a FortiCloud ability for you to actually register a FortiCloud. You get 1 gig of storage with that, so you'd probably run out of it in a couple of days, or even a day and a half, and it would just wrap the logs around. But you can actually test FortiCloud out very easily. And if a customer wants, they can actually buy an upgrade and upgrade it to 200 gigs of throughput on there as well. So more, as I said, more geared for the smaller customer out there as well. So run through the details on that already. So we've got FortiGate units, everything from desktop series. Got a customer who's got 5 users going through 20, 50 users. You could probably get away with using a desktop series, all the way up to probably 70, 80 users, depending on what they're doing through the units. We then goes into the 100 series, so the FortiGate 100 one-high units, and then we can progress right through to the 1000 and the 3000 series. Very popular model in the 1000 series is the 1500 for large enterprises, and also for people trying to do or implement a managed services as well. And the reason for that is the actual throughput, very, very high throughput capabilities on it, and you can virtualize that up to 250 virtual instances on that as well. So you can break the unit up and virtualize, run it as virtualized instances on there. Units in terms of connections on that, the 1000 series does come with 10 gig capabilities on that as well, and then to the 3000 series we started to talk 40 gig throughput ports on those as well. So we effectively have units to meet any customer requirements out there. So why does Fortinet win? Well, I mentioned earlier on, it is consolidated security, so it's all consolidated, reduces the complexity, simplifies everything. Price performance, as it's gone through NSS Labs, done some rigorous testing on there as well, and also ease of licensing. I quite often get asked, how do I license this? How do I license that? You buy a base unit, you can do the VPN, you can do the bandwidth management on there without any problems, without putting anything other than putting your support licenses on there. You want to put AV on there, IPS, web filtering on that. You buy the UTM license and you just turn those features on. It's a great piece of technology. Registered, as I said, it's gone through Gartner. Gartner have done all their testing on it, 8th year running, done the NSS Labs test. It goes through the AV comparative results as well. That's run on a continuous basis. So the AV testing is actually literally tracked weekly through the AV comparative results labs that are doing that testing all the time. And it's not just a firewall. As I've gone through, it's got wireless capabilities out there. And a lot of customers don't realize that it's got a wireless controller in there. And you can add access points onto that. So when you're out there talking to customers, if they've already got a FortiGate in there, Mr. Customer, do you know that we can actually put wireless on that FortiGate? We can provide full wireless capabilities through that FortiGate, and it's secure wireless. We can implement all the security functionality functionality into that wireless environment as well. We don't always win. Quite happy to put my hand up here. I think this top left-hand statement is becoming a little bit obsolete, and you'll see that when I show you some of the customers that we have using FortiGates as well these days. We do come across customers that are so ingrained in Checkpoint, it's very difficult for them to change what they've done in terms of their infrastructure out there. And yeah, although I think a lot more people who have got the Cisco stuff are looking at the value for money out there, we do simply come across people who say, well, you know, no one gets fired for buying buying Cisco. And we do compete against some of the lower end users as well. So the Sonic Walls, your WatchGuards, you know, they are competitors out there, and they will do things purely on price. When you start adding some of the licensing on some of these, though, and you start looking at the throughput on things like the Dell Sonic Wall units, we will outperform them. And again, if price performance comes down to it, we will outperform a Sonic Wall when it comes to price performance. We've got some great customers out there. So Fortinet have secured some significant customers out there. You look at the RBSs of this world, behind every ATM or every group of ATMs is a Fortinet unit out there. We've got customers using them for not just the firewalls, but the likes of the Nandos of this world and the Arguses of this world, using the wireless capabilities within those branches as well. So I think, you know, they're great references out there across when we look at the Fortinet products and the FortiGate products as well. And as I said, you know, wireless is growing. We're doing a lot of displacement on the wireless, so don't forget that. Don't forget your FortiMail. I've got customers coming back in who have said, you know, they've got end users who have gone out, implemented Office 365, and subsequently turn around and questioned where the data is being held, and saying, well, if it's being backed up into the US because it's being held in Ireland, you know, we want to know where that data is actually held locally in the UK. And some of those are implementing their own mail servers again, and the FortiMail product can be done as a gateway, or it can be done as a mail server out there. So talk to us. Let us know what your customers are interested in, where your customers' concerns are, and what they're trying to achieve, and we can certainly talk to you and see what we can recommend as well. And then while I'm just finishing off on that, I mentioned that next week we're running a technical session. I think it's Chris Pritchard is actually running that, and he's probably going to be covering off a bit more on the FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer side. Talk to us. We can get our pre-sales teams talking to yourselves, talking to your customers, helping you understand what their requirements are, and helping you develop that business out there. So thank you very much for attending this morning. As I said, let your technical teams know. I'm going to open the floor up now. I don't know if there's any specific questions to anyone out there.
I'm a poser though, and it's like...
Any questions?
Oh, any questions at the end of the webinar? All right, I'll get. Yeah. Where's the lead? I'll make the lead. Come on. I'll probably get invoiced.
I've asked about a copy of the presentation and the recording. We will see. Sue, I know, has pulled everything together, so we will be able to get that a link to that sent out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make sure that goes out to everybody after this after the call.
Sorry, I cancelled my appointment late last night.
Guys, if you don't want to ask any questions online, as I said, you're welcome to give me a call, drop me an email as well. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
P-E-D-D-E-R.